Imagine the silence. Imagine a field once alive with the sounds of battle, the thunder of artillery, the cries of men, and then silence. When the guns finally fell quiet in 1918, Europe's landscape was torn apart, mud, craters, and crosses marking the resting place of millions. But from that silence, from that devastation, something extraordinary began to happen. Across the desolate battlefields of Flanders and northern France, tiny red flowers broke through the soil. Poppies, fragile, wild, defiant. They painted the scarred earth red once more, like drops of remembrance returning to life. Hello, followers. Welcome back to another episode of the Shadows of History series. If you're into gripping documentaries, deep dives into historical events, hidden truths, and untold stories, you're definitely in the right place. Before we jump in, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, give this video a like, and drop a comment below. I love hearing your thoughts. Big shout out to all our new subscribers. Welcome to the family. And to my returning viewers, you already know you're the real hero. Alright, let's dive into today's story. You're not going to want to miss this one. In those same fields, a Canadian Army doctor named Lieutenant Colonel John McCrae had witnessed the endless loss. In 1915, after losing a close friend, he wrote a few haunting lines. In Flanders Fields, the poppies blow, between the crosses, row on row. His words captured the grief and the courage of a generation and spread across the world like a message carried on the wind. Thousands read his poem and saw what he saw, the poppy as a symbol of both sacrifice and renewal. Among them was an American woman, Moina. Moved to her core, she began wearing a red poppy in remembrance and sold handmade ones to raise money for veterans returning home wounded and broken. The idea crossed the Atlantic to France, where another woman, Guérin, began organizing the production of poppies to support war widows and orphans. In 1921, the newly formed Royal British Legion brought the poppy to Britain. That November, millions of silk poppies were made and sold, and within days the first poppy appeal became a national symbol of unity and gratitude. Every penny raised went to help those who had fought and fallen, and their families who now carried invisible wounds. Over a century later, the poppy still blooms every November. Each one worn on lapels, in shop windows, on school uniforms, tells a quiet story. It reminds us of fields once scarred by war, of lives given for freedom, and of hope reborn from the soil of remembrance. After 4 long years, the guns of the Great War finally fell quiet on November 11, 1918. For millions of soldiers, this was the moment they had dreamed of. The fighting was over. They were going home. But the Britain they returned to was a country forever changed. It was a nation grappling with immense loss and facing an uncertain future. The heroes who had fought for king and country came back to a land that wasn't always ready for them. They carried not just their kit bags, but the invisible wounds of war, both physical and mental. Physical injuries, mental scars. The promise of a land fit for heroes was made, but the reality was often harsh. Unemployment, injury and poverty awaited many. The need was overwhelming. Over 6 million men had served in Britain's armed forces during World War I. Of those, nearly 1 million never returned. Another 1.75 million came home with some form of disability. They needed jobs, they needed medical care, they needed housing, and perhaps most of all, they needed to know that their sacrifices had not been forgotten. This essay will trace the journey of the Royal British Legion from its founding in the immediate aftermath of the war right through to its vital role in our society today. Before 1921, several different organizations were trying to help. National Association of Discharged Sailors and Soldiers, British National Federation of Discharged and Demobilised Sailors and Soldiers, Comrades of the Great War, Officers' Association. Each had a noble purpose, but their efforts were fragmented. They were competing for funds and influence, sometimes duplicating work while other needs went unmet. It became clear to many that a single, unified voice was needed. So, on the 15th of May, 1921, something remarkable happened. In a simple ceremony, representatives from those four main organizations came together. They were led by Field Marshal Earl Haig and Mr. Tom Lister of the Federation. They decided to merge, to put aside their differences for a greater cause. In that moment, the British Legion was born. Its mission was simple yet profound: to care for all those who had served in the British Armed Forces and their families. It was a promise made by one generation to another, a commitment to ensure that no veteran would ever be left behind. This is the story of how that promise was kept. The early days of the British Legion were defined by energy and innovation. The organization had to establish itself quickly to meet the immediate needs of millions. Its founders, particularly Earl Haig, understood that charity alone was not enough. The Legion needed to provide practical support and a sense of community. These branches became the backbone of the Legion. Ex-servicemen found friendship advice and a helping hand in their own towns and villages, creating a vital social fabric that had been torn apart by war. One enduring innovation came from a simple idea inspired by a poem. Anna Guérin had been promoting artificial poppies to raise money for war orphans. She brought the idea to the Legion in 1921. John McCrae's In Flanders Fields had cemented the poppy as a symbol of sacrifice. The Legion ordered 9 million silk poppies and sold them on 11th of November 1921. The first poppy appeal raised over $106,000. That sum became the financial foundation for the Legion's welfare work. An archive anecdote captures the spirit of those first years. In 1922, the Legion decided to make the poppies itself to employ disabled veterans. It established the poppy factory in Richmond, employing 5 disabled ex-servicemen at first. One early worker had lost a leg at the Battle of the Somme. He called the factory a lifeline. Here, we understood each other without words. We were building something new for all the lads who were struggling. The small factory quickly grew, symbolizing the Legion's practical approach, not just a handout but a purpose. They also needed to be a powerful voice in the corridors of power. The end of the Second World War in 1945 presented the British Legion with a challenge on a scale even greater than that of 1918. A new generation of over 5 million men and women were demobilized, returning from theaters of war across the globe. They faced many of the same issues as their fathers: finding housing in a bombed-out country, securing employment in a transitioning economy, dealing with the physical and psychological scars of combat. The Legion, now with a quarter-century of experience, was prepared. Its network of branches and welfare services was scaled up dramatically. The Legion helped veterans navigate the new welfare state: pensions, healthcare, housing. The post-war era saw the Legion extend support beyond the world wars: Korean War, Suez Crisis, Malayan Emergency, and conflicts of decolonization. Each brought home new cohorts with unique needs. The Legion adapted, secured a royal charter granted in 1971, making it the Royal British Legion, covering all who had served anytime, anywhere. It became a constant presence. Care homes, benevolent funds, local branches were there for veterans of every conflict. Personal stories show the Legion's impact. Consider the story of a young national serviceman who served in Korea. He returned in 1953 with severe frostbite, which made outdoor work difficult. He felt lost and isolated. The local Legion branch helped him find a suitable indoor job and provided a grant for special footwear. As Britain entered the 21st century, the nature of military conflict changed. The needs of veterans began to change significantly. The prolonged campaigns in Iraq and Afghanistan brought new challenges to the forefront: post-traumatic stress disorder, anxiety, depression. The Royal British Legion responded by transforming its services, placing a huge new emphasis on mental health and well-being. It developed dedicated support programs, funded specialist treatment centres, and established a 24/7 helpline, ensuring veterans and their families had immediate access to professional psychological support whenever they needed it. The transition from military to civilian life also became a key focus. Leaving the structured world of the armed forces for the civilian job market can be a daunting experience. The Legion stepped up its employment support, creating programs like the Civvy Street Career Portal and offering practical help with writing CVs, preparing for interviews, and retraining for new professions. It recognized that a steady, fulfilling job is one of the cornerstones of a successful transition. By partnering with businesses and providing bespoke guidance, the Legion helps veterans translate their unique military skills, leadership, discipline, and teamwork into valuable assets for the civilian workplace, empowering them to build new careers. The Legion has also become a formidable modern campaigning organization, using its influence to drive real change for the armed forces community, addressing immigration rules for Commonwealth veterans and strengthening the Armed Forces Covenant. Its modern pop-in centres offer accessible, one-stop support to serving personnel, veterans, and their families. The simple red poppy remains the most powerful symbol of the Royal British Legion, and its dual mission to honour the memory of the fallen and to help the living. The annual Poppy Appeal is an institution, a national ritual that connects us to our history. Every autumn, millions of poppies are distributed by an army of volunteers, veterans, civilians, on streets, in offices, in schools across the nation. The act of pinning on a poppy is a personal moment of reflection, a quiet thank you. It is a unifying gesture that transcends age, background, and politics, bringing the entire country together in a shared act of remembrance. The funds raised are the lifeblood of the Legion's work, enabling it to continue providing its vast range of welfare services. The Legion is the principal national custodian of the rituals that give shape to our collective mourning and gratitude. It organizes the iconic Festival of Remembrance at the Royal Albert Hall, a moving tribute of music and military precision, culminating in the famous cascade of millions of poppy petals. On Remembrance Sunday, the Legion coordinates the cenotaph ceremony in Whitehall, where royalty, politicians and veterans gather in solemn silence. It also supports thousands of local services at war memorials in every city, town, village, passing the torch of remembrance to younger generations through school programs and online resources. Slow, reflective music begins. When I see those poppies, I don't just see a symbol of loss. I see a network of people who have been there for my family since the worst day of our lives. It tells me that my husband's sacrifice and our families is not forgotten. The poppy is not just about remembering the dead. It is a pledge to the living. Every poppy sold, every ceremony attended, is a reaffirmation of that promise. From its creation in the uncertain aftermath of the First World War, the Royal British Legion has woven itself into the very fabric of the nation. It was born from a simple, powerful need: to provide support, comradeship, a voice. For over a century, it has held fast to that founding purpose, adapting and evolving, but never wavering in its commitment. It has stood alongside our armed forces community through every conflict and every peacetime challenge, from the trenches of 1918 to the complexities of 21st century warfare. The Legion's journey is a mirror to Britain's modern history, a story of resilience, community, enduring gratitude. The Legion's genius has been its ability to connect the past with the present. It looks backward with reverence and forward with purpose. It is the solemn guardian of remembrance. At the same time, it is a dynamic, modern welfare organization tackling mental health, employment, social isolation. This dual role makes the Legion unique and indispensable. It is a memorial, a lifeline, a monument to the past, a beacon for the future. The story of the Legion is a human one, people helping people. As we look ahead, the need for the Legion remains strong. It began as a promise in the shadow of a great war to build a land fit for heroes. Today, more than 100 years on, the Legion's work embodies that promise. It stands as a testament to the simple, hopeful truth that we will always remember them. So when you see that small red flower, remember it's more than paper and pin. It was born from the earth of sacrifice, nurtured by grief, and grown into a promise that we will never forget. Thanks for watching Shadows of History series. My goal is to bring forgotten stories and hidden moments from the past back to life, to explore the parts of history that often stay in the shadows. Each episode takes a lot of research, writing and editing to make sure every detail is right and every story is told with care. If you'd like to help me keep creating these documentaries and grow this channel, you can support Shadows of History series on Buy Me a Coffee. Your support helps me make more videos, dive deeper into research, and build stronger connections with viewers who love history as much as I do. Every bit of support, even one coffee, truly helps bring more stories from the shadows into the light. Thank you for watching, for sharing, and for being part of this journey.